Hey, everybody, and welcome to Comedians on Technology, People, and Drugs. I'm your host, Sam Joseph, and today we're very lucky to have comedian Just P on the podcast. Hey, Mr. P, it's really great to have you with us. Thanks so much for sharing your time.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate being here, and yeah, let's go for this.
All right, rock and roll. Well, you are a very funny person, and of course, the question we love to start with is, what's your comedy origin story? How did were you born funny? Were you made funny? How did you first get up on a stage?
Completely opposite. I wasn't born funny at all.
Hmm.
I had crippling social anxiety. I've got a speech impediment, which also led into my crippling social anxiety.
Mm.
And I've just lived an interesting life, which you'll find out a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
And I decided during COVID that, you know what? I'm gonna do something that scares me. I'm gonna do public speaking, which
Oh yeah.
for someone with the bad speech impediment that I have is an issue. My
Uh-huh.
strong
Uh-huh.
accent is an issue, but you know what? Let's do something that scares me and have my Ricky Lake moment, trying to change my life around. Do it once and
Right.
just shock all my friends. So I did it
Uh-huh.
once, COVID, and apparently what I did was quite unique, quite interesting. And a comedian who's been going a long time said, "We need to see you do your Netflix special."
Oh,
And this is after my first ever doing stand up.
wonderful.
So he kind of helped me with like my confidence,
Mm,
go back
mm,
on stage again and again and again. And then I've
mm.
just kind of watched and studied the art form, but also put my own personal twist on it,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
definitely people will recognize me for my individualism and what I do and how I do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. I mean, I was surprised because you're so confident on stage. I'd assumed you've been doing this for a lot longer. I mean, you mentioned speech impediment, but, I like, is that, can, I mean, obviously, and only share as much as you want, but I'm interested to hear. I mean, I'd love to hear more about the speech impediment, the social anxiety, also about that. I mean, that first gig and how scared were you before you went up? But maybe should we start with the things that I guess you prior to this COVID experience, you hadn't been a performer generally. You'd kind of avoided any situations where you were showing yourself off to an audience.
Yeah. Yes and no. That's not completely true.
Oh yeah.
So I did have a moment in the spotlight
Mm.
about 10 years beforehand
Hmm.
where I was a professional video games player.
Oh right.
And from doing that, I actually started doing an online game school. And I
Mm.
had a few events in central London of showing off the latest games and how to play them.
Right.
But there wasn't really much kind of like public speaking as such, but I
Ah.
was on a public stage and I was on TV for a little bit and doing bits and pieces.
Okay. Yeah.
Almost went to Big Brother as well.
Ah, wow. And at the time, despite the feelings of social anxiety, you kind of enjoyed a bit of the limelight there. That was like a fun time, or was it like kind of you were basically uncomfortable?
No, it was a fun time because it was the first time I actually felt that when I did speak,
Hmm.
people were actually interested because I grew up in a situation at school where I felt like my voice didn't matter. So
Really?
therefore, my voice went inside me. And the
Hmm.
way I speak, my mouth doesn't open wide enough to let the words out.
Oh,
So it
okay.
starts to come across like a mumble.
Hmm.
And the less confident I become, less my mouth opens. So I'll start
Okay.
speaking within my own mouth and the words don't project out.
Right. Yes. Right. And as well, it's fascinating. I mean, I've never been diagnosed with a speech impediment, but I have my own personal problems are that I speak very fast. I do tend to mumble, and I suffer from crippling social overconfidence, which is a weird combination. People say, "Well, that's great that you're confident," but actually, I just keep on putting my foot in it. But yes, yes. Well, and so wow. I mean, I mean, you've obviously overcome enormous hurdles there because when you speak as an act on stage, I find it very easy to understand what you're saying. But I guess you've worked on that. Is that something that you've
Oh,
really?
massively worked on it. And there's also been a progression through the jobs I've done in the past, which has helped me.
Mm.
I lived in Vancouver for a little while, and as much as they do speak English, they don't understand
Uh-huh.
my English. So
Uh-huh.
therefore, I had to learn to speak clearly, slowly, and
Mm.
project a little bit better.
Right.
One time I did do a job talking on the phones,
Right.
telesales, and once again, that's where people could only hear your voice.
Right.
So once again, step by step, learning to actually do that It's tough. But I think probably sometimes when you do jobs like that, if you don't speak clearly or you do stutter, people can have you hear you have a problem.
Mm,
Sometimes they give you a bit more time, which can work to
right.
your advantage.
Sure. Sure. That's yeah. Well, I mean, fascinating story. I mean, at the risk of making this about me, which is always a danger. No, I just remember one time kind of walking through an airport. This is like I was a teenager with some friends, and there was another guy who didn't know me so well, and I was talking to my friend, and that the other guy didn't know me so well. I was like, "How can you understand what he's saying?" Right? And then my friend was, "Oh, you get used to it." And yeah, I mean, I have this terrible problem with not speaking clearly enough, I kind of beat myself up about. At the same time, I'm almost I don't know. I love listening back to myself, as we've talked about on previous podcasts, and I'm often find myself berating myself for not speaking clearly enough or for like changing, not completing a sentence, and like sort of like getting halfway through the sentence, or even like there's like like the last two words, and I miss the last two words, and I'm off in a different direction, and then I'm kind of like I don't know, maybe I should just embrace it. I mean, have you? Do you find yourself listening back to your, audio recordings and thinking that you want to change how you speak, or how do you?
Yeah, so like what you kind of alluding to, is that I do sometimes find myself skipping words.
Right.
It's either I skip words or certain words they're not. I'm not vocalizing them clear enough.
Mm,
So I
mm,
do hear that and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to either change the words or wording
mm,
or remember to slow down, speak
mm-hmm.
clearly.
Right.
So, but when it comes to me speaking clearly, and you said you're not realizing about how I am, it's because when I'm on stage, I'm a character.
Mm,
And even when I come off stage for the next hour or two, I can still
right.
be within that character. It's just
Okay.
when I'm not that character it's where the problem is bigger. But it's come to a point where through doing comedy, the character's actually overtaken my life. So therefore, I'm actually now more of a character than my original self.
Wow. Fascinating.
Bit like
Yeah.
Spawn. Well,
Uh-huh.
Venom, bit like Venom.
Venom.
Kind of,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah.
Like Spawn. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Well, that Venom being your, radioactive comedy spider. But so yeah, that like I mean, COVID. I think for many of us. I mean, also for me, that was a big point. A lot of people were like, "Well, look, how long have we got? Are we going to get stuff done?" But so tell us about that first gig and how you prepared for it and how you were feeling. And how did you bring yourself to do it? Did you trick yourself into getting up on stage?
No, so the first gig, well, bit before the first gig, I told my missus I wanted to do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
She was like, okay. I told some friends, and they're like, you're okay. And I did a few sketches on video, but didn't really send them out too far.
Okay.
And I did a whole announcement that I'm going to do a stand-up, and everyone should pay attention to that.
Oh yeah.
And the first time I did stand-up, I remember before then I went to watch a few local stand-up comedians,
Okay.
and a lot of them were awful. And I was like, if they can be that bad,
Right.
then I don't really have much to worry about. I remember this one
Yeah.
guy was flopping all over the place,
Okay.
and he like knocked over a speaker stand, and it almost fell on me in the audience. And I was just like, "This is madness."
See, that's what I go around to open mics being deliberately awful to empower other people to make them think that they can do comedy. So it's a public service that I do. But yeah, but yes,
Thank
I
you.
think. Sorry, go on.
I appreciate it. It wasn't you. Wasn't you quite saw, and you're nowhere near that bad. And he's not even a bad comedian. He's just an abstract comedian who does things very differently.
Right.
And by seeing that, I was kind of like, "Do you know what?
Right.
Give it a go." And I've got a bit of swagger to me. I use the technology in my acts, and I always have done. And I
Yes.
think the first time I stepped on stage, I did about 13 minutes.
Wow.
It went okay. In comparison, I look at it now, it's not awful, it's not amazing,
Mm,
but it
mm.
went okay. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Even then, when I was on stage, I was a character. But what I do remember
Yes.
is the moment I came off stage, because my final joke I did on my very first act,
Yes.
or very first time on stage, is actually a joke that even to this day I'm very known for doing,
Right.
and it's to joke with a baby, and I know you
Yes.
know which
Yes.
one I'm talking
I know.
about.
I know which one. Yeah. It's.
So I did that, and I
Yes.
left the building,
Yes. Yes.
and I remember recording myself like a little vlog of the emotions I felt as I stepped off stage, and I was almost in tears because
Really.
it was such an emotional release of like, oh my God, I went on stage, I made people laugh, and they enjoyed it, and I ran out the room, and they don't know if I'm coming back.
Right, right,
And
right.
just imagine what the shock on their faces. But do you know what? I'm done it. I've had mental health issues. I've had like so
Mm,
many different things going on in my life, and it all
yes.
came to head that, do you know what? For that moment, I had clarity and clearness, and I was just happy. Like I was so
Wonderful.
happy. So yeah,
Oh, fantastic. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful story. You know, you got back up on stage many, many times. Was there a moment, you know, like you that first 13 minutes, like you'd announced to people you were going to do it, you were going to do it. Did you have to steel yourself in advance, or because of having announced it and you're like, well, you kind of basically set up a sort of social situation where it would have been more embarrassing not to do it. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. There's also another backstory to this, which I'll explain briefly in a minute.
Yeah.
But I had people coming to see me. My brother, some
Yeah.
friends, some people I work with, my missus, were coming to see me,
Yes.
and that kind of means that obviously I couldn't chicken out. But
Yes.
the backstory to it is about 2 months before,
Mm.
I used to go on what they call cheap dates with my missus, and we
Okay.
got tickets to go watch a TV show.
Oh yeah.
And as part of like the application to get the tickets, they asked
Mm.
people if they got any funny stories.
Yes.
So I wrote a funny story, a real life story, what happened to me, and I got selected to be on this TV show.
Oh wow.
So my first stage appearance was actually going to be on TV,
Wow.
and I remember going there watching 5 hours of the film this TV show. When they said, right, we're going to get you backstage, and we're going to count it down, and we're going to get you to deliver your piece of material.
Okay.
And they're like, are you ready? I was like, yep. I was like, what, 10, 9, 8. When you get to zero, we go to send on that spot, and you'll be a TV camera will be there. 5, 4. Wait, what? 1 second. What? Okay. Yep. What? Okay. You sure? Yeah. Right. So we're not going to film today, and it's the last show of the season. So if
Sorry.
things happen in show business, go home.
Goodness me.
I was like, what? And
Oh
all my
my.
friends knew I was going to be on this TV show
Oh
and
no
how
way.
excited I was. And that happened. So it
Wow.
also kind of spurred me to fact, like, do you know what? I'm not letting that stop
No.
me.
Absolutely.
And I ended up doing that TV show a year later.
Wow. Okay. And what's the TV show called?
Mel Guydrick's Unforgivable.
Mel Guydrick's Unforgivable. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Fantastic. Well, and maybe we can get a link to that
yeah.
in the show notes. Wow. Great story, dude. Yeah.
On Dave.
On
That
Dave. Yes, Dave is just a guy goes around, you know, with lots of DVDs. Yeah, wow. So yeah, and then so that was a few years ago, and so following that first 13-minute thing, and you were saying like there was a pro comic who saw that and said, you know,
yeah,
I want to see your Netflix special. That was a beautiful moment, obviously, kind of a little bit after.
yeah. And he was like, you need to keep doing this. I want to see more. Like the fact that it's the first time you've been on stage, what you did was quite unique
Mm,
because I went on with a mobile phone and
right.
I played the mobile phone over the speakers
Yes.
so you could hear the music playing.
Yes, yes.
But then I answered the phone like I was answering the phone to my mum,
Mm.
explaining that actually, do you know what, I'm at the O2 and I'm performing in front of hundreds of people. But and then it kind of went on from there.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then of course you're known for your using all sorts of technology on stage. And but I mean having that and you had that, you know, lovely moment of clarity and beauty, you know, for the first gig. Were you like many people then immediately booking in as many gigs as you possibly could, or it was a little while before you did the next one? How did the comedy journey continue?
So I started off doing because this is in Oxford
Oh yeah.
City Centre. I
Mm.
started doing like every other week
Mm.
and then
Hmm.
doing new material every other week until I kind of learned that actually that's not what you need to do. You need to get like a body of work and then sharpen that as
Hmm.
opposed to having to do new material every week.
Mm.
So I kind of found jokes that were working and kind of played with that. But there's
Yes.
also a pivotal moment in my comedy career where I decided I'm actually going to have some sounds playing at the time and like
Right.
sound cues. And I
Yes,
remember
yes.
setting up my tablet
Yes.
and saying to my brother, like, meet me at like 3 o'clock. We're going to go through the sound cues. So when I'm on stage, you're going to be ready.
Mm.
Fortunately, he was late and he arrived 10 minutes before I was about to go on stage. So I couldn't show him the sound cues.
Right, right.
So I had to do them myself.
Mm.
Kind of show me that, you know what? sometimes you've got to rely on yourself because you can't
Yes.
always rely on other people to be there and do things for you.
Sure. Sure.
And that's where the whole phone strap to my arm, so therefore
Yes.
I have my own control of my sounds. And I've kind of made that kind of like a trademark
Absolutely.
signature of the way I look. I've got the hat, the clothes, and also
Yeah.
got the phone strap to the arm.
Yes, yes, and it's a very recognizable stage presence that I think, like you say, gives you a unique thing. It's I mean, it's interesting because what the first, I mean, like the first, I guess you use a lot of props, you know, and there is this term, I don't know if it's a good term or a bad term of prop comedian. Often I hear that many people will start out with props, and then the sort of hassle of using them means that they often end up dropping their props, like they you know think it's going to be a thing. I mean, I had starting with my, I think it was my, possibly it was actually my second or third gig. I started using an augmented reality headset to show me my set list, which I then used for another, let's say 20, 30 gigs after that. And I was sort of branding myself as the augmented reality comedian. Um, but it was actually interfering, I guess, with me making eye contact with the audience. And, you know, I kind of dropped that and I've moved on to other things. But yeah, like you pretty much from early on, you've got a set of props and that's, yeah, you're not just leaning on those, you're evolving it, aren't you? And you're building it into your act. And you know, I mean, for the people who haven't seen you, and obviously, you know, we'll put links to your material or whatever you can in the show notes. But so is there? How would you describe your act now for our listeners?
So I would class my act as highly interactive.
Mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
I've actually been explained to people told me that after seeing my act, they want to sit in the front row. It's quite interesting because as a comedian, most people don't want to sit in the front row,
Indeed,
but people
indeed.
do want to sit in the front row with me because I get them involved and not
Yes,
in a nasty or horrible way. They are part of what's going on, and I see the way
yes,
comedy is evolving that people do want to get involved in it, and they
yeah.
do want short, sharp bursts.
Mm,
So imagine watching different TikTok videos, but
yes.
one comedian being like that.
Mm, mm, mm.
So that's kind of the way I do it because I don't do like long, long stories. I do little segments where if you
Yes,
didn't hear me, if you walked into the room and missed the first 5 minutes of my set,
yeah.
then what you're going to hear going forward, you don't need to hear what happened before.
No, indeed, and I mean, you were, you know, you headlined us at the Sunset Comedy, you know,
And
a
I
couple
absolutely loved it, by the way.
oh,
Beautiful venue,
thanks.
beautiful setup. I even put a review on Google yesterday.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I saw that come through. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, as you met our the bar manager who, you know, is really putting all the effort in to make that work well. And you fitted in seamlessly and yeah, no, and I think that the you had your phone out, then you were giving people in the front row the ability to interact with you. And like so as you're saying, you've got kind of this lots of short material, almost like different TikTok videos, and you're basically giving the audience members the ability to select from your repertoire of material, aren't you?
Yes. So basically, what I do is I give an audience member a list of jokes or
Mm,
segments, and it could be a list of 12, and I've got
yeah.
time to do seven. So every time I perform, it's going to be different jokes in different orders, and
Yes.
I'm not in control of any of it. They are
No.
it's complete free will. They can press the same button twice if they want to, and sometimes that does happen.
Right. Right. Interesting.
But it's complete free will. I don't know what jokes and what order it's going to be. I just have to remember what jokes they are.
Yeah.
But it creates interesting situations because some of the buttons are buttons you probably wouldn't want to press if you knew what the answer is going to be.
Indeed.
And I also put the fact that if any joke comes across as offensive or not funny,
Right.
don't blame me, blame the person
Right.
who picked it.
Indeed so, and yeah, there's lots of fun that can be had playing with that. And I remember seeing. I think probably the first time I saw you was at one of Johnny's. I think the 0596 club when it was still in
Yes,
like in
yeah.
Finchley or wherever it was.
I can
And
even remember the date it was. It was the day after Christmas, Boxing
yeah,
Day.
Boxing Day gig, wasn't it? Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was, you know, I totally dropped my augmented reality headset, and I was on a new thing where I had my own randomizer. In that, I was basically had these different laminated cards in my back pocket, and I would shuffle them before the gig, and then I would like pull them out at random and be doing, you know, so I wasn't doing the audience interactivity, but I was also playing with this idea of trying to basically have a memory of a set of different jokes and like doing them in an unpredictable order. Yeah, It's interesting. I really love what you're doing and the way it's
I mean,
evolving. And
that's why we bonded, isn't it? Because
yeah,
you went on stage before me, I came off, you saw what I did. We
yeah.
both like comparing notes straight after.
Mm, mm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's I mean it's so good to hook up with you again since then now, like probably like 2 years later, and see how your act has evolved. I'm now so like you probably didn't have it there, but so I now do like 3 nights a week doing virtual reality comedy where I'm in a complete virtual reality universe with my comedy booby trap where I take and I do this is like every time it's completely different and I take 5 thoughts from my day and I try and spin them into comedy gold. So I'm basically doing this kind of improv stand up in front of a virtual audience, and it's I mean one of the themes we keep coming back to on the podcast is about this. You were mentioning how when you started every other week you were doing new material, and then you were like sort of learn, okay, I've got to develop a body of work. And I think that's it's a common trope. People when they first start out, or even people who never do stand-up comedy, they think that the comedian's coming up with new stuff every time and in the moment. But there's this idea that you should build a body of work, which I sort of struggle with in some ways because I know that there are some comedians, and it's not Noel Fielding, but Ross Noble and Rory Scovel, and some who kind of make their thing, but they don't have a body of work. But there's a sort of received wisdom among many comedians that you do have to kind of have your killer 10 or you have to have your killer body of work in order to make progress of some kind.
Yeah, it depends what type of comedian you are, but generally, yeah, I definitely agree that having a body of work is definitely helps. And
Mm.
I remember there was a situation where I, before I started having a body of work, I always had my final joke.
Right,
The
right.
end
Yeah,
joke I have, I always have that.
yeah,
And
you
I
call it.
had, yeah, and I had a group of people who used to see me quite regularly, and they loved what I did.
Yes,
And it was just audience members.
right.
And I remember they brought their boyfriend to come and see me,
Yes.
and I didn't do that joke.
Ah,
And they came up to me and they said, "Look, like I brought my boyfriend all the way from London to Oxford to come and see you. I've been
uh,
telling you about this guy,
yes,
and you
yes.
didn't do the joke for him." And I was
Right.
kind of like, "Oh, so you like my old joke, even though you've seen it before, you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, we like it." And watching other people's reactions to what I do,
mm.
so that kind of showed me that you're actually repetition is not necessarily for our sake; it's for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And in fact, I mean, I had before Christmas, the first time I had one of my jokes requested, like to be repeated, and then it's interesting because yeah, I mean, there is an aspect of people do like familiarity. They like McDonald's. They like their favorite songs, and so absolutely, there is a value in being able to sort of if the audience is there and they want to hear that classic track of yours, then who are you not to deliver it, which is great. I guess the thing for me is it's about well, I mean, keeping it fresh. You clearly keep it fresh with the technology and the randomizing the order of it, and I guess that also gives you a easy framework to introduce, like if you come up with new ideas, right, then you can kind of insert that and maybe it'll be selected or not, or you can like
Exactly,
twist the
exactly
odds
what I
and
do.
so on. Yeah, yeah. But so what's your? I mean, so we're sliding into because you're also, clearly technologically plugged in. We're sliding into our second topic, which is about how technology is affecting, your life and your comedy. And it's obviously like clearly you're in there. You're a pioneer. You're on the bleeding edge of this
Thank
of
you.
this stuff, which is fantastic. And I salute that. But I was going to ask you is like and obviously technology is a big part of you doing comedy on stage. When it comes for like the process for coming up with the jokes, is that does technology get involved there? Obviously these days everyone takes notes on their phones or whatever. But tell us about the process that allows you to to create new bits and if technology is involved in that.
So when I create a new joke, for example,
Mm.
if I'm ever going to tell it on stage, I need to give it a title,
Hmm.
which then I obviously need to then put it into my phone. So therefore, I need to get a AI voice to
Yes.
record the name of the joke, for then
Right.
someone to press the button and do it. And then sometimes I think, actually, if they press the button, it says this, and it actually says something else. That's a joke within itself. So sometimes just sort of using technology
Yes.
and
Yes.
expecting one thing and getting something else can
Right. Right.
also be the joke within itself.
Yes,
So I
yes.
play around with those ideas. But also, what I'm now at a point of where I'm so heavily branded in not only looks but the way I sound and what I do.
Yes.
So I'm like, how does this joke fit in with the branding of what I want to do or the
Right,
message I
right.
want to come across?
Mm, mm,
And I need it to fit in with the realms of everything. So
right.
some jokes I might like, but if it doesn't fit in with what I'm doing,
Yes.
then it can't go in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were just last week talking to Brooke, who was also, with us at Sunset, and he was talking about Adam, one of the things from Adam Bloom, saying that, as a comedian, you can't be all types of comedian. You can't, like, for the majority, I think for the majority of audiences, you need to pick some, two or three types of comedy or characteristic that gives you something definable so that the audience can kind of, you know, I guess, I mean, in some ways, as comedians, we don't want to be put in boxes, but I guess for the audience to relate to us, we need to give them, because they're only seeing us for a relatively short amount of time, we need to give them something coherent to hold on to make sense of what's happening. And so, yeah, Brooke was talking about, he's got some great jokes that he loves, but he realizes that, in order for his stage persona, they don't fit. So you're doing the same thing, which is like making sure that it fits in with the branding. But in terms of the ideas, do you find? I mean, do you spend hours a day trying to write stuff down, or you just take long walks, or how does the sort of creative process happen for you?
So the creative process, it comes to me just randomly. So
Yeah.
literally, what will happen? I'll be doing anything,
Yes.
absolutely anything. There's times where I've kind of been in bed, giving my missus a hug, and I'm like, wait, 1 second, I need to quickly write something. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need this is in my head now. I need to write it down.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
write
Yes.
notes of
Yes.
whatever's in my head.
Yes.
And then on odd occasions, I will go through these notes and I'm like, nope, that's rubbish. Nope, that's rubbish. Nope, that's
Mm.
rubbish. Then it takes me a while. I write a lot. So literally, I could write 6 or 7 jokes a day,
Oh yeah.
but it takes me ages before I actually find a joke that I can use on stage.
Right.
And the problem I was having
Mm.
is because I'm so heavily branded and people are knowing who I am.
Mm.
Whenever I turn up to an open mic, before I actually step on stage, people come up to me like, "Oh, you're Just P. Oh, we're looking forward to seeing you. Oh, we heard so
Yeah.
much about you," and
Mm.
that puts an added pressure on me not to do new material, and that's
Right.
quite
Okay.
tough,
Right.
and I struggle with
Okay.
that.
Yes. Yes. Because you got the strong brand means that, yeah, like, yes, yes, you want that to be continue to be, you want that positive association. And then, as I think we've both learned, I mean, like, there is this, I mean, I was doing Facebook posts about this a couple of years ago. There's kind of, I mean, I'm generally more excited about the idea that I had today than any of the things that I thought of before, however good or bad they are or what have you. And, like, but if I go up and I'm sort of constantly improvising, then perhaps the chances that I'm going to smash the gig are lower. And there's such a positive feeling when you do smash a gig, and you get, like, all the comedians want to talk to you afterwards, and everybody's. Whereas if you have one of those bad days, which we all had, kind of, no one wants to get too close, and you kind of leave feeling a bit sheepish and whatever. So yeah, yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, really. That's where this. See, the thing for this virtual reality gig that I'm doing over and over and over again in the same bar, often to the same people, is, and there are themes that emerge, but I feel like I need to do, like, almost the branding that I've got on that is that it is completely new each time. And so I've with that one, I've managed to set the expectations around it, that's giving me a cover to allow me to do whatever it was I was thinking about that day, which is fun for me. I don't know if it's fun for the audience, but
So you're right, and I've created 2 vehicles to help me, or three actually, 3 vehicles to help me get around that situation.
mm,
One of which is actually, I want to say, on the 23rd of February,
mm.
I'm inviting you to my gig.
Oh, right. Lovely.
It's called Ring the Bell
Yes.
at the Hammersmith Grove Tavern.
Right.
It's run from 4 o'clock
Yes.
till 7 o'clock,
Uh-huh.
and it's a new material night.
Right.
And it's one of the vehicles I use, and I'd love you to come along. One
Sure.
of the vehicles I use to do new material. It's
Okay.
another IMC, and what it is, it's called, as I said, Ring the Bell,
Yes.
and I give the audience members a bell
Okay.
to press if they like the premise of your joke.
Okay.
So while you're performing, you'll constantly hear bells. I'll also got little sound effect boards that's playing different sound effects while you're performing,
Right.
just to punctuate what you're doing. But by doing that,
Yes.
it's a safe space for you to try new material, for your
Right.
audience to know it's new material. So literally, be it as offensive or just try stuff out. Do
Sure.
whatever you need, because if you don't hear the bell, then you know it probably is not the route to go.
Okay.
But you're getting that feedback, and that's one of the vehicles I'm using to
Interesting.
try out my new material.
Interesting. And so that's because, of course, laughter is the ever-present feedback. But like that's as you're saying, like the nature of an audience is that they won't laugh usually at the premise. And so as you're starting out on the premise, you're not usually getting any feedback. Um, so you've engineered it as such that there's a mechanism for people to say, "Oh, I like where this is going, keep on going." Interesting.
And I developed it from actually evolution of what I do on stage. And
Yes.
what I do is some of my jokes, I realise, especially living in Oxfordshire, that some people do find them funny, but it might be a little bit dark, that they kind of look around the room to see if it's okay to
Is it
laugh.
okay to laugh? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
therefore, I introduce the bell to an audience member. So one person gets a phone to choose the jokes, someone
Uh-huh.
else gets a bell to see if it's funny,
Uh-huh.
and there's a conversation between the three of us about you picked the joke, you didn't find it funny, so you didn't press the bell. The person who didn't press the bell, you blame that person, and I'm just telling the jokes. And it's kind of like a meta game between the three of us.
Fascinating.
But it basically, the bell was creating a permission to laugh for everyone else.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. Indeed. Indeed. Fascinating. Well, again, you are on the cutting edge here of these experiments, and I love it. Oh, fantastic. I look forward to that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes,
Permission to
put it
laugh.
in your diary.
Yep,
As I said,
yep.
I'd love to have you.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be. No, I've written that down. I think that yeah, I will have to look in the diary. Yeah,
Yeah.
there may be a family event, but if not that day, I will definitely be there, or I will nip out at that family event and come and do it, and then run back.
For
But
anyone
yes,
listening, by all means, come along and you can ring the bell too.
absolutely, yeah, good show, good show, love it, love it. Well, yeah, and I mean, this is you were telling us about the noting. I mean, I found that ever since I, basically got full brain into stand-up comedy like 3 years ago, I am constantly taking notes in my phone. I always take my phone into the shower because there might be something that comes along. Basically, I don't want any situation where I'm not. It's a bit like the guy in Memento. He needs to be able to write the stuff down. It's
Yeah, you need to. There's times I've been driving and I've pulled over. I've had to
yeah,
put my camera onto the camera mode and flip it to me so it's filming,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
I'm recording me telling the joke out loud. And
yes,
even
yes,
sometimes just saying out loud, you're like, actually, no, that's rubbish.
uh,
What was I
indeed,
thinking? That's
yeah.
funny only to me.
And then so you say at some frequency you'll go back through those notes. Do you use any kind of software or spreadsheet to kind of keep track of it, or it's just a big Word document? Do you use AI? Is there
I
anything
use
else going on there?
I use an app called Color Note and literally just writes all my notes, writes it all down.
And that's Color Note, is it?
Yeah, and it's cloud. It stores it to the cloud, so therefore
Yeah,
I've got many devices, and it just literally can on any
yeah,
device there.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
even if I was to lose my phone, I've still got access to
Yeah.
those notes.
Yes, yes. There was Jordan McDonald was on. He uses I forgot what it's called now. There was something like Google Take, and I
Yeah,
mean I
Google.
use Google Docs, and there's lots of these things now that will back because I actually when I was first starting out, I was using the Apple Notes, and one time my big comedy thing it crashed. It's supposed to sync across multiple devices, but I ended up losing a whole load of stuff, and that was frustrating. But
Yeah, that's not nice.
technology is bendable. But so you've already mentioned a few people, but I mean, let's circle back around it away from the technology and into the people. I mean, you had that pro comic who, at your first, the first show said, "Oh, we want to see your Netflix special." Is that who are the other people who've had the biggest impact on your comedy and on your life?
Family, just my family and life,
Yeah.
and people seeing the change in me because of what I'm now doing.
Mm.
Um, Making my kids proud. Like there's a documentary that I did in my comedy career,
Oh yeah.
and it was. I remember speaking to the guy about it, and he's like, "Your story is so interesting. We want to get this documentary out."
Mm, mm,
They
mm,
filmed it. It didn't quite turn out how I thought it was going to be. It
mm.
was quite hard for me to watch. But then I won loads of film awards for the documentary.
Oh wow.
And then a lot of comedians who've seen the documentary, it's only like 6 minutes long,
Yeah.
they find it quite interesting because it's not what you would normally expect
Hmm.
from a stand-up,
Sure.
and it shows the different sides.
Mm.
And we're in a kind of place where we're all everything's shiny, everything's amazing. And sometimes it's not always that,
Mm. Mm.
but there's also a positive message at the end, and progression is key. Like people you see on TV, no
Mm.
matter if it's on X Factor or Britain's Got Talent,
Yeah.
yeah, you think that they've been doing it for 5 minutes. They've been doing those jobs or those singing those songs 10, 15 years
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
old enough. Right. And that's what we aspire to.
Yeah. Yeah, they say that an overnight success usually takes 15 years. It's
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's great. We'll have to get that links to that in the show notes. And you say family. I mean, things I want to dig into there. I mean, yeah, you're saying there's a change. I guess like now doing the comedy, you're feeling more positive, happier generally, and your family's commenting on it. Is that the kind of thing you mean?
I've always had a doing mentality, and people were seeing the progression I've made as a person on and off stage, but
Hmm.
also the success I've had.
Right.
And like I now have like run my own comedy nights.
Right.
I book for 6 comedy nights and MC for 5 or 6 nights a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people are liking my brand and coming to see me, and they trust me to bring in the comedians that I like and what's going on.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they're seeing a different side of comedy than just the normal stand-up club what it is in my local area as such.
Right.
And being a comedian who's a little bit different,
Mm.
also being a black comedian
Mm.
comes with its difficulties,
Oh yeah.
especially when it comes to getting booked.
Right.
And I don't know, it's like I don't fit in the normal boxes, what people want
No.
me to. So
Yeah.
by me creating my own box now
Yes.
and giving a platform for people who don't fit in those boxes to also perform
Yes.
or under the lights and the glamour and glitz,
Yes.
it's it's nice. It's nice, and it's quite freeing to be fair. But you can do a gig and you don't have to try and impress someone else.
Oh well. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, having started my own gig and doing my own nights. I mean, yeah. For me, that I'm a very vanilla white old male. I'm I have to check my privilege on when I get on a plane because there's so bloody much of it. But I don't know. Like it's a beautiful thing to hear because I don't know if it's trite. I like to think of myself as an ally, and I enjoy comedy nights more when it's not just one white guy after another. I think the more diverse, the better. And I think we have to kind of what's the word? We have to lean in the opposite direction in order to get to make up for the extraordinary lack of diversity. But it's interesting to say you say difficulties in getting booked. I mean, we sort of think it's like 2025 and people like the value of diversity is understood, but it's I guess is there parts of the country, or is it just across the board that it's you find it's difficult to get accepted?
Bit of both, bit of both. There are certain areas worse. One thing I need to quickly tell you, camera, the batteries on my thing dying soon, so I have to be mindful of that.
Okay.
But when it comes to parts of the country, yeah, there's part of the company who they put on all white acts, and they say
Right.
the audience won't really respond well to another act. And the reason
Mm,
that is because they're not ever given another act to like. And if they just see one black act and they don't like that black act, doesn't mean they'll
yeah.
hate all black acts. Where if they see them more frequently, then
Yes.
they
Yes.
become more accepting for the audience.
Yes.
But promoters are so worried about going to like a small village and putting on a black
Yes.
act.
Mm,
And the
mm,
thing
mm.
is, I get people don't like as well is like some things I talk about could be of a sexual nature or adult nature. They
Yeah.
don't like that. However, when it's those different things or similar things from a white voice, it's
Yes.
okay.
Mm,
They can be offensive and they can talk about types of horrible stuff, what happens to them as a child or
sure.
people or
Sure.
situations, and that's okay. But if a
Mm,
black man says something, then it's not, and it's you might offend our audience.
yeah.
I know bookers who say, "Oh, we can't book a black guy because we booked one a month or 2 months ago, so we can't
Right.
have one back too soon."
Yeah. That must be very frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. So as I said, I've kind of taken a step back from applying for so many gigs, run my own gigs, run my own rules,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
and
absolutely, absolutely. Sorry, go on.
my audience are loving what I do.
Yeah,
Regardless of what level you think I might be at, I'll make people laugh.
yeah,
And
yeah. Indeed.
this
So, and I think that's that's the they say if you can't beat them, join them. But I think if you can't beat them, do your own thing. Really, I mean that's it's yeah. There's all sorts of strange gatekeepers in our world, and yeah, like I guess there's a sort of it's like, do you put yourself through, to contort yourself somehow into being the thing that the gatekeepers think is wanted, or do you set up and do your own thing and live by your own rules? And I feel like you and I, like independently of our relative levels of privilege, we're both preferring to live by our own rules, right?
absolutely, but I have also got a vehicle what does live by their rules as well. So I perform with Just P, as you know,
Yes.
but I also now perform with Paul,
Oh, really? Okay.
which is similar jokes because you
Okay.
can't steal from yourself.
Uh-huh.
I look different. I'm not branded,
Mm.
and it's straight stand up. No technology, just straight stand up.
Interesting.
And the funny thing is, I actually can perform as both people on the
Right.
same bill, and the audience don't realize straight away. And I'll make jokes between the two people
Wow.
about each other.
Right,
And
right.
I remember I did a gig once, and I made a comment about how Just P's this and Just P's that, and if you ever see him, he's not funny, don't laugh. Went on stage with Just P, and I thought, oh, there's a comedian who looked like me, and because I'm black, people think I look like another comedian. That comedian's not me. And someone's, oh, you should have seen that comedian who was slagging you off earlier. And I was like, what does he look like? And he's like, he looks like, oh, I'm not saying that. And then you realize the face of people in the audience were like, wait a minute, is that the same guy? And you can see the wave from the audience of people realizing it's actually the same person
Oh,
performing twice.
wow. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, it's brilliant. Again, you're just right up there on the cutting edge. And so the question becomes, it's like, how how do you keep that cutting edge? I mean, is there like, and so, we'll move on maybe onto our fourth topic, which is like, we talk about drugs. And of course, drugs is like a loaded word because as soon as you
Yeah.
mention it, a lot of people, particularly in this country, will think of illegal drugs, but like alcohol is a drug, caffeine's a drug, paracetamol, all of these things. Substances.
Laughter. Laughter is a drug.
Blast. What's blast?
Laughter.
Oh,
Laughter.
laughter. Laughter is a drug. Well, I mean, there are
Yeah.
drugs. There are like endorphins. Indeed. I mean, laughter. Like, there's all sorts of chemical changes. Even if you're not. I mean, basically, there's potatoes have chemicals in them. I mean, but so like and obviously people have different levels of willingness to share this that, and the other. I think in America, of course, like I think the attitude towards drugs is sort of softened and it's talked about much more openly on podcasts. In this country, people, when I talk to professional comedians, they may be like, oh well, I don't want to talk about that. So, but I wonder, like, do any of these things affect your perception of reality? Are you doing things that allow you to have these innovative and fascinating ideas? What's your
Um, I don't do substances. I barely take painkillers if I've got a headache.
yeah.
I probably should take like sinus
Mm,
nasal sprays because I
mm,
got like it drives my missus crazy with my snoring. So I should
mm.
take more drugs, but I don't. I just think I've got like a very different way of looking at like solutions.
Yes.
Even when I was in my day-to-day jobs, I
Yes.
always look at how we can do something differently.
Sure.
So I'm always looking at the side angle. But I've got a
Mm,
joke. Some of my jokes, like I said, was the joke itself is not the joke, it's how the execution of the joke lands.
right.
That could be the funny thing.
Yes.
I've got
Yes.
jokes where I ask people to listen to a sound,
Mm,
tell me what you think it is. And it's
mm,
not even about what the sounds are, it's about people's reactions to the sounds.
right.
So I'm looking at the meta, the joke inside the joke.
Right.
Um, that's how I see life. Everything in life, I see that how can we do things differently? And with drugs, I don't know. The only drug I really know is laughter, and I don't say that because I'm a comedian as such. It's
Mm,
because during my darkest times, the times where I've been at my lowest points,
Yes.
The only thing what's really got me through, and especially during COVID, watching comedy,
Right.
laughing. You could be on your knees crying, homeless, no family. If you
Mm.
see someone make something that makes you laugh, for that second, it's gone.
Right.
And I love that because
Yeah.
that
No. Go on.
laughter saved my life.
Really.
Yeah, laughter definitely saved my life many times.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I relate strongly to the no substances. I mean, particularly like 3 years now, I've no caffeine, no alcohol. I'm also almost no painkillers. Occasionally, yeah, the sinus stuff. But yeah, I definitely there's something. I mean, I was performing last night, and I recently when I'm in these kind of there is some kind of it feels almost like an electric fire going through my I get so excited on stage, probably too excited. People tell me calm down, slow down, whatever. But there is some kind of something like, and I say to people, how much caffeine do you think I've had today? And they're like, so I'm not doing this,
Um,
I'm doing this to myself. It's yeah, there is something magical. But you were mentioning, laughter saving your life. Do you want to tell us any more about that? Obviously, I don't want you to talk about stuff that you don't feel comfortable about, but it
well,
sounds like you've had struggles where laughter's been the key.
oh yeah, definitely. Like I've got 4 kids, and
Mm.
from 3 different women, and I don't live with my kids, and that's
Right.
tough. And the
Yeah.
breakup of those relationships has
Mm.
been tough. Having to find a new home, being
Mm.
able to try and support them, but also struggling to support myself,
Mm.
and the lack of understanding from society of how dads are viewed and how dads survive after breakup.
Right.
No one
Right.
really thinks about that.
Mm.
They think
Mm.
that because we don't have our kids, we're out here gallivanting and enjoying ourselves. Like the
Mm.
mental
Mm.
toll that takes of being separated from the family for whatever reason,
Mm.
even if it's their own fault, the mental toll it takes on us, and the
Right.
fact that men generally don't talk, and
Right.
if they do, they're kind of shunned for it.
Sure.
It's like there were times where I won't tell you what I did, and I did do substances. I decided one day I went through my cabinet, I found every bit of alcohol and every single tablet I
Mm.
could find, and I took them all. I
Mm.
took them all,
Mm.
and I passed out.
Really.
And then I woke up, and I was like, "Why am I still here?" Do you know what? I got work in 2 minutes. Got dressed and went to work.
Right.
Like, but I went to work. Work was my safe place, and I laughed at work, and I had a good time, and I came
Yes.
home. And during COVID, when I actually felt like the world was going to end, and everyone's with their families and posting pictures of their little art
Right.
projects and what they've done, and I'm by myself.
Yes.
Just sat
Yes.
there and watched TV. I sorted a schedule out. So what? Every 7 o'clock every evening, I'll watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh, at 11 o'clock, I'll watch a film. At 12 o'clock, even the time of the day didn't even matter to me during COVID because I
Yeah.
was up all night. I just struggled, but it was watching TV. Like I had a little balloon that I drew a face on,
Right.
and I'd talk to this balloon about the TV
Oh,
program we're watching
right.
because I was just so lonely and needed to kind of. But
Sure.
me and this balloon laughed and we had a good time. And
That reminds me of I think it's
Castaway,
Castaway with Tom Hanks. He
yeah,
starts talking to the volleyball, doesn't he? And
yeah.
Will Smith in I Am Legend, and he's set up the store dummies in the blockbusters, and he's sort of pretending to talk to people when he's going to go and get the DVDs.
That
Goodness me.
that's how I felt during COVID and watching the comedy specials. And comedy's always been something that me and my family have loved and enjoyed.
Yeah.
But just watching so much stuff, and because I couldn't watch the news, I got to the point
No.
where the news was too bleak and I didn't know what's happening. And they're saying that black people were more susceptible to this as well. And I was just like, not only the police killing us, COVID's killing us as well. Can we not get a break?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I talk about this when I haven't watched any mass media news for over 2 years now, and I mean, I think we talk about comedy being a drug. I think, news is a drug, and it seems to
Oh yeah,
be a depressant. I mean, and in some ways, though, actually it's really interesting to me that it's like the devices. There's a big difference. I don't know if you find this between news that you receive on your mobile versus news that you might read in a newspaper or on a laptop. And there's something almost insidious about social media, mass media, and so on a phone that I don't know. I mean, I think, maybe in 10 years we'll be looking back and saying, what were we doing to ourselves? But there's something very strange about it all, isn't
Oh,
there?
yeah, and they do the few documentaries about this,
Mm,
that social media became very polarizing during a few world events, where
yeah.
if you were right or left leaning, for example, you'd get more. If you're right leaning, you get right wing propaganda. If you're
Yes.
left leaning, you get left wing propaganda. Even if you was typing in the same thing into Google,
Yes.
you would
Yes.
get left or right wing views. So
Yes.
therefore, it
Yes.
made you more polarized.
Yes.
And that's not right. You should be able to see both sides of a story and
Yeah.
be able to see that. And people wasn't given that ability. And
No.
watching the news, it's done. The government are spinning the news to show you what they want you to know,
Mm,
or
mm.
what they want you to think, or misdirection. And the film, what really brought home for me is V for Vendetta.
Oh, V for Vendetta. Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand how that film's even allowed to be shown on TV, because it's
Mm,
what they're talking about with the misdirection of the government kind of opened my eyes like, oh, actually, do you know what?
yeah.
How do we not think that that's possible? Because that is possible. And if that is possible, what have they misdirected us with?
Well,
Look at 9
well. Go on.
look at 9/11. There's
Mm,
so many different theories of what could and couldn't happen.
yes.
And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but the facts are out there of things that were hidden from us. So if
Yes.
those things are hidden from us and that's actual facts,
Yes.
and what don't we know?
Well, indeed. I mean, I think it's really interesting if you go back further. So there was I think it was the Suez Crisis, is in the 1950s, which you're probably familiar with. But
Mhm.
so retrospectively, like at the time, right, the British government was saying, "Oh, we've got to invade this nasty things going on," right? But it was actually it was, and it came out, and they've got all the documents. It was sort of a conspiracy between the French and the British and the Israelis to provide a subtext for this, invasion of Egypt. And it's just like it's historically documented. The government is misleading the people. But I mean, I don't particularly want to point fingers at the government. I think every like we're all capable of it, right? Like
Oh, for sure.
it's not just the government, or the left or the right. It's every political party, every person is to a certain extent creating a narrative, right, of one kind that is not, and none of these narratives can match reality perfectly, because reality is such a complex, different thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So it's mad. And I said like, just what doesn't normally have that effect is comedy.
Mm, mm.
Comedy is taken at face value. It's a joke. Like it gives people to express and talk about things that people generally don't normally talk about, and that's a good thing,
Which
right?
no, it is, and it's a great thing. And I think what's really interesting about comedy is often where the laugh comes from is from seeing a different meaning. Like if you have just a statement of fact, that's generally not going to be funny apart from some sort of context. If I say like I'm holding a cup, it's not. But if it's like, I mean, I said this on stage, and it's not going to be funny now. But we were talking about gender politics or whatever, and I said, "Oh, look, this guy over here, he's carrying a cup. He's got a cup of gender fluid with him," and that, got a laugh because it made a connection that you wouldn't. Okay, the two meanings of the word. It's not a particularly funny joke, but like I think that the laughter comes from an insight of seeing another way of looking at the world, doesn't it? And that's the key thing, because the people who I think are maybe trying to deceive us with a narrative, they don't want us to think of the alternatives, do they?
Yeah,
Right.
it was like I had a conversation with a comedian the other day, and I at my comedy club I get you snacks and sweets and stuff like that
Mm, mm,
right before you go on stage.
mm,
And
lovely.
he came up to me and says, "I'm so sorry. I'm really grateful for these snacks, but I, I'm allergic to nuts."
Uh-huh.
I looked at him, I was like, "But aren't you gay?" And,
Uh-huh.
and he's just like, "That's quite funny, that is."
Well, I was thinking that on two levels. There's the like you were saying that, and I initially thought, oh right, that's a you were doing like a super meta take on, like there's no isn't aren't gay people don't have allergies. But then actually there's the other thing, which of course, like the word for testicles and so on, which is maybe the simpler joke or whatever. But it's yeah, sorry, I mean, my brain is going in all sorts of different directions there. Yes.
This is gonna stop in 2 minutes,
Okay.
in a
Yeah.
couple of
Well,
minutes.
I mean, that's, and we're moving towards I guess that's 2 minutes then, and that, I mean, a man who thinks out of the box like you, a man at the cutting edge of like experimental comedy. Surely 2 minutes is all you need to tell us what it all means. What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything?
Do what makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting other people.
Mm, mm, mm,
Laughter is the key to happiness. Just no matter what situation, don't laughter doesn't cost anything. You
mm,
could be rich, you could be poor. You just need to laugh.
mm,
Like
mm,
laughter allows you to talk about everything. Everyone wants to be funny at some point, and do what makes you scared, and then just laugh about it.
mm, mm.
So that's kind of what I go for. Try and be positive, try and make people laugh, have a good time, and yeah, that's what I do.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful note to end on. And I salute your meaning of life, and I'm running that up my flagpole, and I'm saluting that. It's absolutely fantastic. Is there anything that we can promote for upcoming? Obviously, we can put links in the show notes, but if people just need, is there a webpage they can go to? Where should they go to find out more about you?
Go to Day Two Comedy on Facebook and Instagram.
Day two
So
comedy.
that's my comedy promotion where I
Yeah.
run nights off. Yeah, so I've got 6 nights I run a month now all over the country. So in
Hmm.
the Midlands and in London, and they all lead into each other. So there is progression.
Right.
Also find me on Facebook and Instagram with Just P the comedian. I have
Hmm.
a very, very special video on the YouTube,
Hmm.
and it's called Just Be Interactive. And what it is, it's an interactive simulation of what I do on stage. So it's a
Mm.
40-second video of
Hmm.
me explaining who I am and what I do. And then I say, in this corner, and this corner, and this corner, there are boxes.
Mm.
You can select what joke comes next. So, like
Wonderful.
an hour special, you get to pick what joke comes next.
Hmm.
I pick your own
Hmm.
adventure, shall we say.
Wow. Cool.
Um, Basically, it's what I do on stage. I give someone in the audience a list of jokes, and you pick the jokes. And
That's
that's
great.
what I do.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
Wonderful.
just
Wonderful.
just be interactive, just be comedian. If you get a chance, come and see me, come to my shows. So I travel up and down the country. I'm a hard-working comedian. I don't just sit still.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Well, and well, that's fantastic. Everybody knows what to do. We'll make sure that all the links for all of that go into the show notes. That's fantastic. By the way, do you have a catchphrase? Have you worked out a catchphrase for yourself?
Yeah, I do. I need you to remember that.
I need you to remember that. Okay, so what we'll do, this is I think a new thing, is I'm going to do our outro, and then if you could just like close out the show with your catchphrase, yeah? All right. So here we
Yeah.
go. Well, I'd say thanks to Just P and to everyone for listening. And remember, you can help support comedians on technology, people and drugs by going to patreon.com/comedians on, where any level of support will help us to continue to produce this show. So do follow us on Facebook, and we'll see you again soon. Last word to Just P.
Right. My name is Just P. What's my name, Sam?
Just P.
What's my name?
Just P.
I need you to remember that. All right. Just P out.